Hi, and welcome to this Protea College Training video. Today in this video, we are going to walk you through what you need to know to get started and complete your unit project for BSBITU304 Produce Spreadsheets. We've heard from many students that this unit can be a challenging one, especially for students who have not worked with or had much experience working with spreadsheets before. Our goal in this video today is not to show you how to do everything, but to get you started on what you need to do, as well as to provide you with some additional resources that can help you learn the skills you need to learn, the basics of spreadsheets and how to use them. First of all, in order to complete this unit, you will need some sort of spreadsheet program to allow you to access and complete all of the tasks or questions on this unit project. By far the most popular one of these is Microsoft Excel. It's been the standard used for many years to allow people to design and create spreadsheets to do what they need and want to do. If you already have Microsoft Office, you should have Microsoft Excel. If you don't, you may want to consider purchasing it in order to use it for this unit project. If you don't have it, don't want it, or don't have the ability to get it at this time, there are a number of other options available to you. If you're an Apple user, you can use Apple Numbers. If you use a PC, you could also try downloading Apache OpenOffice, which is a freeware program you can use and has a spreadsheet program built into that is, again, very similar to Microsoft Excel, but a little bit different. The other option is you could always use Google Docs. The only thing you'll need in order to do that is a Google username and password. So you'll have to get a Google account, and you'll also have to be online. So you can only use that if you are online on the internet at a given time. If you need more information on any of these or need help getting them, please feel free to contact us. For the purposes of this video tutorial today, we're going to use Microsoft Excel because it's the most popular of the spreadsheet programs. Although there are some differences between the programs, all of them are very similar in the way they work. Now, once you have Microsoft Excel or whatever other program you've chosen to use set up and ready to go, the next step is to get started. So please open it up and we'll get ready to make a start. To do this, we need to start by downloading your unit project task sheet from our student portal, bsbonline.com.au, if you haven't done it already. Now, before you go and look at the unit project task sheet, once you've downloaded it, there's another document you're going to want to download to help you with your unit project for this unit. Please look under the resources section and find the document BSBITU304 Unit Project Study Tips. Right here. Click on that document as well and download the study tips guide for this unit, which is full of information and resources which can help you to develop the skills you need to complete this unit. Once you've downloaded both your unit project task sheet and the study tips guide, pause this video and take a few minutes to read through both of these so that you have an idea of what you will need to do to complete this unit project. Now that you've read through your unit project task sheet, you should have a better idea of the skills you'll need to have or develop to complete the unit project if you don't have them already. If you've also taken the time to look through the study tips guide for this unit project, you would have found that it's full of information, links to additional tutorials, guides, and videos that can help you to complete this unit project, in addition to this video that you're watching now. Please make the most of these resources. They're there to help you to learn the skills you need to successfully complete this unit. Before we begin looking at the tasks, let me draw your attention to the description below this video. In the description below, I've included some key links that can help you with this unit. They are the Goodwill Community Foundation website, or gfclearnfree.org. It's a great website full of tutorials that you can use to help you with your various tasks throughout your course and to develop the skills that can help you. And the greatest thing about it is all the tutorials are free. The second link you'll see there is a link to lynda.com training series on Excel for Mac. So if you're using a Mac, unfortunately, Goodwill Community Foundation website doesn't have any tutorials currently for Microsoft Office for Mac, but that's where lynda.com comes in. There's some great training there on lynda.com, and the good news is, even though you have to have a membership, all students are able to receive a membership if you would like. So if you don't already have one and you're using a Mac and want to go through the tutorials, please contact us and let us know, and we can set up a username and password for you. All right, now we're ready to begin looking at the unit project task sheet and what you need to do to complete this unit project. If you have a quick glance over your unit project task sheet, you'll see that there are 5 questions that you need to complete this unit project. Each of these tasks have multiple parts on them that involve different things you'll need to do to complete each task in your spreadsheet. So let's get set up to do all these things by opening a blank workbook in Microsoft Excel. Once you've opened a blank Microsoft Excel workbook, let's take a look at it and talk about some of the basic things you'll need to see in your spreadsheets. First of all, before we do that, please go to the File tab at the top of the screen and select Save As from the drop-down menu. Go in and save your document so that you know where to find it and you don't lose your work. Next, at the bottom of your workbook, you'll see a tab that says Sheet 1. These tabs are each individual spreadsheets that make up your workbook. You can have a number of different spreadsheets in one workbook. So you'll see where it says Sheet 1. Next to it, you'll see a plus sign. This allows you to open multiple spreadsheets in the same workbook by clicking the plus sign. For the purposes of this unit project, we want to open 5 different spreadsheet tabs, one for each of the 5 tasks you will need to complete. So go on and click the plus sign multiple times. You'll open your 5 spreadsheet tabs. That'll give you 5 different spreadsheets. Then go back and click on Sheet 1. Once you've opened the 5 tabs, if you right-click with your mouse on each of them, it'll bring up a menu so that you can select Rename to rename your tabs. Please go in and rename each of your tabs Task 1 or Question 1, Task 2, Task 3, Task 4, Task 5, and so on. Once you've gone and done that, your screen should look like this. You should have Task 1, Task 2, Task 3, Task 4, and Task 5 at the bottom to correspond with each of the different tasks or questions in your unit project. Now that we've done that, let's go and familiarize ourselves with what we see here in our spreadsheet. First, you will see that underneath your toolbar and ribbon, you'll see a whole bunch of boxes on your spreadsheet. Each of these boxes is called a cell. The cells are the area you add all of your information into in your spreadsheet. Across the top of your cells, you will notice that you have the letters A, B, C, D, and so forth above each column of cells. And then down the left-hand side, you'll notice that you have 1, 2, 3 along each of the rows of your cells, and so on and so forth. These are the coordinates for the location of each of the cells in your spreadsheet, or what we call cell reference. So if I'm talking about the cell that is second column over from the left and the second row down, and we click on that, that cell is what we call B2. And you'll see that up here in the box. That's the B2 cell. And that's the location or the cell reference of the cell. This is what you'll use to work with each of your cells in your spreadsheet. Above the columns across the top, you'll also see a box that has a little FX next to it. That's what we call the formula bar, and that's where you'll work to type in formula and different things that you'll be using throughout your unit project. In the interest of keeping this video relatively short, I'm not going to go through the rest of the basics of Microsoft Excel. To find out more about the basics of how to work through and use a spreadsheet, please pause this video, go to the Goodwill Community Foundation website, and take 15 minutes to go through the tutorial that corresponds with your version of Microsoft Excel. If you're using a Mac, please click on the link in the description for lindo.com tutorials on Excel for Mac. And again, if you don't have a login for this yet, please contact us and let us know so we can set one up for you. If you have any other questions or still having difficulties understanding the basics of Microsoft Excel, please contact us so that we can help you. Now that you understand the basics, we're ready to look at the tasks in your unit project itself. Let's start with Task 1. First of all, you'll see that Task 1 is all about AFL. If you don't know much or anything at all about AFL, then I'd suggest that you click on the link above the task and watch the short video about AFL to familiarize yourself. That'll help you get to know it a little bit. Once you've done this, you're ready to begin. So you see in Task 1, you'll see that there's a table of the scores recorded for round 20 scores for the 2013 AFL season right there. You'll need to use this information to help you complete Task 1. Now look below the table at Task 1, Part 1, which says you need to prepare a spreadsheet to show the results from the round 20 of the AFL 2013 season. You've already created the workbook for this unit project, so now you're ready to begin entering data into it. For this task, you can do it in 2 different ways. One, you can go to the workbook and retype all of the information from this table into your spreadsheet for Task 1. Or 2, you can copy and paste the information from your unit project task sheet into your spreadsheet. So highlight, right-click, and select Copy. Once you have your table in your spreadsheet, so let's go in and then I'm going to right-click and select Paste. Now my table is in the spreadsheet for task 1, and that's all there, so I can begin working with it. So let's look at part 2 of task 1. Part 2 of task 1 says to use a formula to calculate the total score for each team and extend that formula to all teams in the column. Now when we look at our table, we can see that we already have a column that has a total score on the one side in column F, and a column for the total score for the teams on the other side in column K. So what we're asking you to do is to go in and modify those columns with the total score by using a formula that you create to help work out what the total score would be. As you would have seen when you were going through your Excel tutorials, formulas are ways to work out the data in your spreadsheet, often using math. So to complete part 2 of task 1, we're going to have to use a little bit of math to create a formula to help us work out the total score. In order to create a formula to calculate the total score for each team, we need to start by clicking on the cell for the total score for our first team in the list, Collingwood, which is F3. Once you've clicked on and highlighted F3, the total score for Collingwood, you can see that up in your formula bar it now says 133 or 133. We're going to need to go in and adjust that to create a formula. So to begin doing that, what we want to do is click on the formula bar at the top. We're going to delete the 133 out of there, and we're going to start our formula with the equal sign. So you want to put in an equal sign. Once you've typed the equal sign, you're ready to begin typing the rest of your formula. What we need to do to figure out the total score is to add the goals to the number of behinds for Collingwood here. But instead of typing the actual number of goals, we want to type in the cell reference here because that will help us as we go on. So instead of typing 20 plus 13 to work out the total, we're going to type in the cell reference. Or a shortcut is you can just click on the cell reference and it'll add it above. So if you click on that, D3, and we could put then plus E3 by clicking on E3, that should add the two together. But before we click return or enter, we have to remember that each goal in AFL is worth 6 points. So Collingwood scored 20 goals, and each behind is worth 1 point. They scored 13 behinds. So we can't just add up D3 and E3 to get an accurate total score. We actually have to multiply the number of goals, that's 20, or D3, by 6 to work out the total point value of the goals, and then add it to the number of behinds. So coming back to our formula or our equation, in order to multiply D3 or 20 goals by 6, before we add it, we actually have to go back and think back to our math equations. In order to do something to one part of an equation before you do something to another part, you're going to have to use your bracket. So if you just type in a bracket there on the left-hand side, and now we need to multiply D3 by 6. In computer language, instead of an X to multiply, we're going to use the asterisk. So that's above your 8 on your keypad. So we'll put in an asterisk for multiply, and we'll put it times 6. Then in order to finish that side of the equation, we have to enter another close bracket. So now your formula should look something like this. It should look equal D3 times 6 plus E3. Now you've finished your equation. So once you've done this, click enter, and it should give you the total score. That's 133 for Collingwood. You've just created your first formula in Excel if you haven't done it before. Now, what we're going to need to do is to create those formulas for each of the other team's scores in that row. So to do this for the rest of your row, you can either go into F4, F5, F6, all the way down to F10, and you can recreate that formula, or there's a shortcut that can help you out. Let's click on the box F3 again. You'll see it highlights the box F3, and in the bottom right-hand corner of F3 is a little tiny square. If you click on that square and then drag the box all the way down to the bottom of your column, what it's going to do is it's going to transfer that formula and carry on that formula all the way through the column. So now if you go back and click on F4, you'll see in your formula bar, if you click on that box, that it has changed it and added that formula in there. Once you've done that, you've finished adding a formula for the total scores in that column. But remember, you're going to also have to create a formula to calculate the total scores in your other column of teams' total scores in column K for you if you've started in B2. So you're going to want to go in, and here you're going to have to start by entering a formula similar to what you did in F3. So if you do what you've done there and then copy it or drag it down through all of those, it should recreate that formula there as well. Now, once you've done all that to column K, entered your formulas and dragged it down, you've completed entering a formula to calculate your total score. So you've completed part 2 of task 1. Now, we're going to go on and look through the other parts of task 1 and then the additional questions briefly to discuss this. I'm going to show you what an example of a finished product should look like, and we'll talk through it on that. So this is our sample of the unit project for BSBITU304 Produce Spreadsheets. When you're finished, your unit project might look something like this. So this is what it looks like. You'll see if I click on F4, which is where my column is here, you'll see that I've got a formula to calculate the total score, and I've got that right through both columns F and K. So I've completed part 2. Now we want to look at part 3. Part 3 says to create a main heading for the spreadsheet in merged cells across the page. So that's what we're going to want to do. So if we go back to spreadsheet document, the example that I created for it, you'll see that at the very top, I have entered a heading across the top. So I started out with that heading by inserting another row because I didn't want it up in row 1. So what I did was clicked on the top of my table, and right-clicked and clicked Insert to insert another row where row 2 is now. From there, I just typed in the text that I wanted, and then I highlighted all the cells I needed and clicked Merge to merge cells. And then I just updated that, made it look nice, and that's all you should have to do for part 3 of question 1. Then when you get to part 4 says to adjust the size of the columns and rows so that it prints well on an A4 page. You may choose landscape or portrait printing. So all we want you to do is adjust the rows and columns so that it will fit on one A4 page. In order to do this, you might want to click on the page layout view to give you an idea of what the page looks like. As you can see, mine fits on an A4 sheet. I could probably even increase the size a little bit, but it fits well on an A4 sheet if I were to print it. And we'll go back and click off there to normal view. It makes it easier for us. But that's what you want to do in part 4. Then you're ready for part 5, which says to use a formula to calculate the total number of goals scored by all teams. What you need to do now is you need to figure out a formula. So you'll see here, total number of goals. These are the goals for each of the teams, and there are 2 columns, column D and column I. Now, I need to find a formula that will allow me to add up all of my goals in the column here to give me a total number of goals in that column. So I started by doing that. I clicked on that. I've added a formula, and then I would do that again in column I. And then once I've done that, I need the total number of goals scored by all teams. So I then need to go on, and I've added another little area down the bottom where I've added the total goals up together. So I've created a formula which would do that as well. So you need to go in and do that. Once you've done that, part 6 of Task 1 says to use cell styles to color the winning team's name green. You can see in my example that I've done that already. If you're using Excel for Mac, which I'm using, and you can just click it here. On a PC, your cell styles are in a little different place, but if you're using your study tips guide, you should be able to find that relatively easily. Once you've done that and gone in and colored all the winning team's cells green, you've completed part 6. You then, in part 7, need to use a formula to calculate the average total score. So this is where you need to find another formula that's going to allow you to work out the average total score of all the teams in columns F and columns K. So you're going to want to figure out the average scores. Once you've done the average scores for each of those columns, you're going to then need to find the average of both the scores of those columns, those averages, to help you, like I've done here in K13. So I've found the average total score of all the teams. I've completed part 7. That's what it should look like. Now, part 8 of task 1 says you should insert a comment saying winner in the cell name of each winning team. So again, I've gone back and done that. So if you click on each cell, you'll see you can right click where it says here you can insert a comment or edit a comment. So let's click on one that I haven't already done that to. And if you right click, you'll see where it says insert comment. You can go and do that, and that's the easiest way to do that is insert that. So just go through and insert a comment, and you'll see when you scroll over it, it pops up a box that says winner. So that's part 8, and we're on to the 9th and final part of task 1 or question 1. So 9th part of task 1 says show the dates of each match in the day, month, year format. So a different format to the one we have originally in our table. So that's where you're going to want to come and click on, highlight your whole column, and adjust your format of your cells. So in order to do that, you might click Format Cells, and that will bring up a little screen here that allows you to go in and adjust the format however you want it. Now that you've done all that, you should be done with task 1. Now that you've completed task 1, you're going to want to go through and complete tasks 2 through 5. What I will do is show you a quick example of what a finished product will look like or something like in our example, and we'll go over what you need to do in each one, but I'm not going to give you the information. I'm going to let you go through using your tutorials that you've already been through, as well as the additional resources that are there in your study tips guide to allow you to go through and finish. So let's look at task 2. So I'll go down and click on task 2 on the bottom of my screen. And this is task 2. Task 2 says that you need to present your total scores in part 1 of task 2 as a bar chart and a column chart. Now above that it says you may need to rearrange your data to have all of the data in one column in order to make the following charts. So that gives you a little hint of something that can make it easier for you. So what you want to do is you want to go in, create your data. Once you've created your data, you then need to create your charts. And that's what your finished task 2 should look like. Now let's look at task 3. Okay, task 3. In task 3, you need to use the scores for the match between Collingwood and Essendon as a basis to create a pie chart. I've gone in and done that using the scores, and you can see what my pie chart looks like. I've created a pie chart, and then I've gone in and personalized it to do everything I want it to do. So task 3 says you need to present your pie chart of the team's combined total scores. In part 2, you need to change the colors of the chart to reflect the team's colors, as I've done. You then need to insert a logo or picture of both teams into the chart, again, which I've done. Let's go on and look at task 4. Now task 4 is a little bit different because we're not actually using the AFL scores for round 20 any longer. We're using a different area and different information. What we're using is the sales for a group of 6 hardware stores for June 2013. So I've gone in and recreated a brief spreadsheet of their sales. In question 4, it says create a sales report for the month of June 2013 for a group of 6 hardware stores using the following data. I've created a really simple sales report. I could have put more detail in, but for the purposes of this and for your purposes, it doesn't need to be overly detailed. So we've gone in and created that spreadsheet with the information, and then it asked me to create a column chart, which I've done. From there, you then have to create a pie chart. So you have to take into account the increases that you need to add in for July. So you're going to need to work out how to work out a formula to help you increase based on the different percentages for a new month or decrease. So you'll need to go in and do that. And once you've done and personalized everything, you're done with task 4. Let's look at the final task, task 5. So in task 5, again, you're using different information. What you're using in task 5 are the book sales for a group of books, both hard copy and ebook sales. For July 2013. So I entered in the detail. So I've created the spreadsheet utilizing the data that was given to us in the unit project task sheet. From there, I've had to go in and calculate in part 1 the revenue for hard copy book sales, which I've done, the revenue for ebook sales, then the total sales, the total revenue for all books, and also the author's royalty or payment. And then I've had to create a chart, which I've done. So yours should look something or will look something like this when you're finished. Once you finish this, you're all finished with your unit project. All right, we've now gone through and shown you what you need to do to complete your unit project for BSBITU304 Produce Spreadsheets. I'm sure many of you will still have questions, especially if you haven't used Microsoft Excel or a spreadsheet program very often. If you do have any other questions, please feel free to contact us. The purpose of this video tutorial was not to go through and show you exactly how to do everything, but to get you started, point you in the right direction, and help you to get in there so that you can do it for yourself. Thank you for watching this video, and we hope this helps you to get through your unit project. Have a great day.